Play stronger, not faster, resign like a grandmaster. Hello everyone, I'm Fabian, and this is the 10th episode of my series Resign Like a Grandmaster. And obviously, Olivia caused some trouble. I told her not to post it in the forum. Maybe some people will find it, and they found it. Firstly, let's get some explanation going on because apparently um, today after I did my work, I found the Discord server talked about our book. Okay, so let's firstly do some explanation about sorry about that. We started the explosion. It's written by me, not by Olivia, and I wrote this according to halfly according to the list pinned on the Atomic channel by Raven, and it lists many names, and halfly based on the Lichess the leaderboard, and also some players on Discord. Actually, I just sent it to her like 2 days ago, and she posted here. Why? Because I have a bad habit. Sometimes I forgot things and they just get lost, and sometimes like this lyrics, I just store it like on a random note, and so maybe it will get deleted. So maybe you should just think that we should store it like here and maybe post it in our team. However, it got found out. So I think my YouTube channel is also going to get found out, but it's okay. What about the team? It's Resign Like a Grandmaster is our books. When did it start? Well, firstly, it's Weekend Wanderers, who is also known as I think it's I forgot his Discord name. What was it? But he had other accounts like Grand Looping and something else. But all his accounts are closed because he quit Atomic. I think this book is our book is here. I think is it here? Well, yeah, it is here, and I said this is a template, and I think I attributed to him. Yeah. Yeah, for some help for the book. This was firstly an overleaf project. Some help. I think the most of these game parts are written by him, and I just added some random jokes around the place, and Olivia just did the second part. I think the strange openings part, and I don't know, but I just randomly add some jokes like something some explanations, and because I'm not a native English speaker. I'm Chinese, so my English is not fine, and sometimes grammar mistakes everywhere. So I just most part of this. The first, I think the chapter 1 is this is just copied from Wikipedia, and the other part are probably this part is fully written by me because it's very interesting. The uninteresting part are all written by by Weekend Wanderers and Olivia. Um, and the last part I even added. Yeah, the proof of a force win in atomic. And this link, you should click that link. Okay, so this book is mostly like a joke, but like these games chosen are. Some are chosen by me. I think I chose one game or two in the main line, and deleted the Weekend Wanderers some not so good claims about his opening, like knight f3 f6, some e3 e6 and knight d4 bishop to b4, like that opening, and so-called anti-chronotalk gambit. This book, the first, I think it started just when Weekend Wanderers started to hate Chronotalk, and he thinks he can produce a book better than Chronotalk's book or Chronotalk's website. So he called on us, and as you can see, why did I say our group of 4? Because we have another friend called Sixers, and but I don't think he ever edited our book. This is an overleaf project, so well, everyone can edit it. I think I did some not so good edit. Okay. This book is not that serious, but not that bad, I think, because, well, new players, as you can see, knight f3, we recommend f6. At least we didn't recommend some bad moves, and like this, something like even the second move for black. I think I added some part of knight f3 e5 games and some part of and I deleted the bad openings, like the anti-chronotalk gambit. It's not a good, yeah. This is a controversial defense. Some players like it, but some hate it. We don't recommend it for beginners because the compensation for black is not obvious or just non-existent. Yeah. But however, we also play it sometimes because things can get tricky. So, I need an explanation for everything else. Well, we started the explosion is just just a parody lyrics, and I can't even sing it. Arcade 50 is the best, grand lapping from the rest. Human ways can tip all new bands. Sutunary, Blood Fasty, Wolfram, Cadex, NGB, they are all better than you know offense. And you can just follow it, the melody of we didn't start the fire, and you can just search that song, and just terrible. So I told her many times, don't make this public. If you made this public, then we'll get into trouble, and we got into trouble. And now I think is is 11 UTC, so or 10 UTC. Or 10 UTC, so we can get to see another Atomic 960 game. Which will be the main part of this video. The first part is just some random explanations I probably need to make. Well, let's find out. What was it? I will play Katask a few days later, and yeah, it's Puddingbirne versus Forrest. They are both in our lyrics. Yeah. But how did you find out? I think our team was kind of secret, and my YouTube channel is of course very secret. Only Crepuscular found it. Not easy to find. Did they start? They didn't start yet, so let's talk more about our book. Yeah, because why not? Why is it called Resign Like a Grandmaster? Well, I sometimes this title, I think firstly Weekend Wanderer suggested atomic basics tutorial and some very serious title. I propose Resign Like a Grandmaster. Why? Because I watched Ben Feingold and he likes crying like a grandmaster. So we don't cry, we just resign. So just resign like a grandmaster like this. So as you can see, many people found out this team and things are getting not so good. Actually, our book is not that bad, I think. Although it's kind of not good. This is our semester is going on and we have to do some projects, so we did some fake project, as you can see, like this. And I think Weekend Wanderers is actually graduating this year, and I'm of course not graduating, and I'm graduating next year, and Olivia is also graduating next year, so we still have many things to work with. And so some exercises. I think exercises and like trivia, and yeah, these things are all written by me. Yeah, not so good. Something like this. Yeah. And yeah, and the Taiyohin game, because I sometimes like Taiyohin, but Taiyohin is actually I recently did just collected some lichess data, and found out that Taiyohin's opening moves are terrible. He played knight f3, f6, and then e3, knight h6, or e4, knight h6. That's forced mate. So not good. Now let's see if they are playing now. Yeah, ongoing. So you can see the position. Position is okay, I guess. Knight to b3. Whenever move a knight on the third rank, put a pawn on the third rank. So b6. Although in this position you just have to defend against a5 and c5, so you can play c5 because the bishop covers a5. You can play c5 because this is atomic knight 60. What is atomic knight 60? It's just chess knight 60 feature random with atomic rules. So it's just a randomized position, and yeah, this is threatened, and the threat is of course queen a6. Black has to see it. If black doesn't see it, it's just simply checkmate. So yeah, black doesn't see it, so it's simply checkmate. Yeah. That's very unfortunate, because atomic knight 60 is the position is very unfamiliar, so you might get mated like that. I think in my first match, in my first game, I also get mated very quickly. So you have to get into the game and just think about it. Think about those threats. Now Forrest is playing white and Puddingbirne is playing black. Puddingbirne is actually higher rated, so he's expected to win this. Oh, and finally about that book's about Weekend Wanderer's contribution and why we didn't put him in the authors, because he explicitly said that we shouldn't put him in the authors because he don't want to be in the authors list. That he quit Atomic just because of he just want to focus on studying, and we also don't play Atomic that much. I played Atomic, well, sometimes. So and made these videos after doing some work, and it's quite entertaining, and doing some random commentary like this, and maybe practice my terrible English. So this position, white open with e4 and knight to b6, threatening of course. So white just move the pawns, and white yeah, this has to defend against this threat. This threatens directly mate and winning material, so maybe white already made some mistakes. Like this one is still not good. Maybe still you should play c4 because the bishop covers the a4 square. So this opens up the queen's attack. This threat is very dangerous, and this just wins material for. Is this bad? I think it must be bad because of knight here. I think is it knight here? It's knight. If knight here, this takes, then this threaten. Yeah, this threaten is it's okay. Then it's okay for white. Not that bad. And then yeah, then it's okay. Just because if takes, then the rook is threatening just mate. So this is okay for white. So this position, you know, It's a normal position. I'm not even focusing. So now queen to c4, white is threatening winning material, of course. If you play knight to a4, then takes, you're threatening mate, and you have to do some bad things now. Then white still wins material, still wins a pawn. Is that safe? Well, it's safe, I guess. When a knight or when wins a pawn, so it's okay. So white now is up material. It's relatively safe because if bishop to g5, you have f4. But if you somehow trade off the f2 pawn, then bishop f5. Maybe bishop to, no, don't move bishops. You just, I think, move the knight out. f4, only move. Or if you want to move your king, then you get mated, so don't move your king. This achieves nothing. Well, castles. The rook is on this file, and d4 maybe, or just get out of the pin. And you develop your bishops. If you think d4 is dangerous, you can play d3, because this bishop is currently non, is blocked, and if bishop to h6, you still have another move so you can deal with this threat. You can just play bishop to d2, so there are no threats. You have to make another move to take this pawn. But thinking about it is good, because you have to think about your every move. Otherwise, you might losing 4 moves. Resign like a grandmaster. Don't resign. This position is. This is dangerous. e5, but e5, d5. Bishop to maybe somewhere. This knight invades. Does it invade? Bishop to f3. Maybe. If bishop to f3, knight to all squares available by the knight is covered, and is threatening mate, and so black will have to play c6 or bishop. Yeah, bishop there will be a good move, because it threatens, because white can't bishop threatens mate, so you can't take with the pawn, of course, because of mate. Rook takes bishop mate. You threaten mate again, of course, it's also good. You can't block with the pawn, you should block with the knight. Also, just play c6. Just play c6. If you block with the knight, you might have mate. Yeah. So everybody can overlook mates. Not easy. So Forrest avoids adoption easily. I won't be easily avoiding adoption, because I'm playing Katask, who is very good. I actually put Katask in the first part of the lyric, and because in Raven's list, he's among the top, and Katas is of course a crazy house player. But he's also very good at Atomic. He's of course a top player in Crazy House, and in Crazy House you are familiar with tactics, so you will be even better in Atomic 960. So in our match, I'll probably just use some dirty tricks like offer draw. Not good. Offer draw was suggested by some of the Discord server users like FFT and AKQ. They always like that offer draw when you are when you are getting adopted. So to avoid adoption, yeah, that's okay. Well, you avoid adoption, so why not? So, but I don't think Catax will take it because why would he take it? Move a knight and move a pawn, normal position. Here you can still play f5 because you can still play f5 and defend against both f5 and h5. The two knights and just this time the bishops can't cover both these two squares, so you probably have to play because knight to e5 will be just mating a few moves, so you have to play d6. So the first move, I think f5 is just better because it's Atomic 960. Sometimes you have these moves available. Like normal two knights, you could probably play knight to e4 or something like that. It's similar to the normal two knights, just maybe, yeah, just maybe the king is more stuck in the center. If you castle, then you get mated, so don't castle. But you can castle. Castling is legal here. Castling is legal in the first move in this position because how to castle in Atomic 960? Well, if you castle queenside, that is to say castle with your rook closer to the A file, then your king ends up on the C1 square or C8 square, and your rook ends up on the D file, D1 or D8. If you castle kingside, then your king ends up on G1 or G8 square, and your rook ends up on F1 or F8 square. It's just similar to the normal chess castling, and castling kingside means just castling with the rook closer to the h5. Well, this position, white can play, of course, something like knight to g5 and knight to e6, check with mate next move or not. Just with mate in a few moves, I think. Knight to e6 check, king to f7, and the next move, I think you can just win material or with knight takes bishop or just to simplify. But white has no development, so maybe you can then play c3 and just bring the bishop out because your king moves. That's never a good sign. Your king has to move here, and you can take the bishop, and you can also leave it here because it's very dangerous. Then you have to here you have to push the pawn, or yeah, you can't escape. And the next move is knight to d5. Very good technique. Although yeah, good technique. That's also fine, I guess, because your king can't escape and it's made next move. Knight to d5 also forks these 2 pawns, and you can't escape because of this mate. So if you move your king up in the opening, that's never a good sign. Oh, let's see the rematch. In Atomic 960, I don't think castling happens often. It just happens randomly in the end games. Because castling, like in this position, if you want to castle queenside, you have to move all these pieces out and allow the king to go to c1. And I don't think that's. But you can castle kingside, but that does nothing, and you just switch the king and the rook's position. What's the problem? Knight to d3. The score is now 2-1. Puddingbirne is leading, and also tell you a secret, Weekend Wanderers is actually not from England. It's just like Weekend Wanderers. And also, why did I use the theme of the song we didn't start the fire? Because there was a song about English football teams, like at least by Jim Daly, I think, on YouTube, and you can find it. And because Weekend Wanderers used to like that song a lot, so I decided to use that song, and that song was a parody of "We Didn't Start the Fire." We didn't start the fire. I think it was about some news events, something. So, yeah. Enough about anecdotes. Let's talk about the real position. This position is very sharp, I think. And after this threatens mate, you have to play g3 because you have no other moves. After that, the knight still invades, but it's just winning a pawn and a bishop, and it's kind of dangerous because the queen is open, somewhat open. Is it dangerous though? I would still take. Now pawn takes knight, bishop to b3. You can play d5, so not a threat. If you play bishop to, yeah, not a threat. But queen to f5, is that a threat? No, because you can play that, and if you go queen to f5, this is not like, because taking d7 is nothing, so that's not a mate. However, mating 1. This is mating 1. So, oh yeah, it's black to move. Yeah, it's black to move. You have to block. It's black to move. You have to see this mating 1 and block it. I think g6. But if you play g6, then that their diagonal is of course weak. But the bishop is currently not there, and the queen is currently not there, so it's okay. If you play something like g5, then you might get mated after bishop after queen f5. So, although not so mated, yeah, but still that looks pretty normal, and you have to play that. So I think queen to d3 maybe. because otherwise you get a queen takes on. So if this, then d5. Otherwise you have to resign. So d5 only move. And just go f6, but f6 queen to e6. You can't take the queen, of course. f6 queen to e6. Yeah, this is mate. Yeah. So even stalemate. Yeah. But so even in atomic 960, the white still always wins. So we have 4 straight white wins. So 2-2. It will be a very interesting match, and Forrest is playing well. This position. If I'm playing, I won't move a knight. I will play something like, well, what should I play? e4 or e3 or whatever. This position looks pretty equal because you don't even have a threat after this. So knight to e3. Of course, f5 was still possible, but black still goes for e6. Knight to c4. Let's see. Knight to c4, knight to g6. Knight to c4, knight to g6. What should white play here? If knight to g6, then of course it's threatening knight to f4. Is knight to f4? Does knight to f4 force mate though? It doesn't force mate, so it's not. But yeah. If you go knight to g6, then knight to a5 is probably still winning because it threatens too much material. So you should somehow defend against both. But you have to defend against e5. So yeah, still knight to g6 is probably the best. Knight to a5, knight to f4, e3, knight takes, or just b6 maybe if you don't take and your queen is not lost yet. So if knight a5, knight to f4, e3 or e4, this is also good. And knight to h4, then don't knight to h4 because it doesn't threaten mate. So knight to e5. So don't go knight to h4. You have to still defend against the middle mate. So, but here you can defend against knight to a5. So you can just play b6. If you play, and the bishop is opened up, so you have to play b6. But if you play b6, then white still goes knight to a5 because the b6 point is overworked. Not easy position. b6, white still goes knight to a5. But is knight to a5 good enough though? Because knight to h4 is still a threat. So very interesting and difficult position to play. And queen takes g2 is still possible. If you go knight to h4 anyway, what is the threat? Let's see. If you go knight to h4, then the threat is of course. I don't see it. Knight to h4, you play g3, knight check, you move the king. That's not good. But although the knight invades, it doesn't win material, and oh, oh, the e5 square is still not covered, so you have to firstly cover the e5 square. Now black covers the e5 square, so now you can go for knight to h4. Yeah, I didn't notice that. So you should always, yeah, this is called tunnel vision. So I've been talking about knight to e5 threats forever, but I didn't see that knight to e5 is still not defended. Now it's defended. Well, in the last position, it is defended by queen takes pawn, but you don't need to lose a queen for knight and pawn. That's not good. Well, not that bad because your knight invades and. Can you take the pawn? Can you take f4? Where is the threat? Now e5 is covered by the bishop. d6 also covered by the bishop. Everything seems covered. If you still go knight to h4, then white will go knight to h5 and have nothing. Bishop to e3 probably with some ideas. What's the idea? I don't actually know. The bishop has to defend against e5, so you don't have to move the g pawn to defend against that threat of bishop takes h2. But the white queenside pieces haven't moved yet. Black pieces haven't moved yet. The pieces are on back rank. Just develop. Yeah. Bishop to e3. I would also play that. And preparing for castling, threatening mate. And now f6 maybe because it's the most natural move and it defends against many threats. But f6, sometimes they will play bishop to h6 and you take, and maybe some ideas of queen h5, but here the queen doesn't go to h5, so the queen is stuck in the corner. I have to activate the queen somehow. Here is black to move. Black can play f6 or any move, or I don't like h6 because it feels weird. Of course, you can develop your bishop by bishop to h7, but you lose a pawn by bishop takes pawn. You actually don't lose it because if you take, then rook takes pawn. But after you move something like h4, then you can't develop. Now, the thing is now, this is still knight to e5 is still a threat like hanging there. It's very dangerous in atomic knight 60 having a threat like that hanging around. Instead of castling, white has rook to f1, so f6 is forced. After no, remember Hmm. Currently no threat by white because d6 covered and the bishop can't move. Now of course black can't develop the bishop, but black can trade the bishop for the knight, which is take with the bishop. You can trade pawns because the middle squares are all covered by bishop takes pawn. So. Is it dangerous though? And now, of course, bishop takes pawn is not dangerous because the rook doesn't invade. But white moves bishop back. Let's see, was pawn takes pawn dangerous? If pawn takes pawn in that position, bishop takes bishop. White wins a rook and black wins only a bishop. Yeah, not good. But still, this position black is some material. So black moves the queen out, trying to invade. You can defend, of course. Rook to f3, but takes. Yeah, not easy defense. That's not easy to see. I didn't see it at first. Here you have to play well king to b1 or king to b2 and run away with your king. Yeah. But that's no good because your king is going to get mated a lot. And black doesn't even have a check or white doesn't even have a check or a threat. Because white's pieces are all pretty terrible. So you have to develop your pieces. Like the white queen didn't move in the whole game, and that's not good. So black wins by time forfeit, and now it's 3-2. Forrest is now leading. That's an interesting match. If Forrest wins, that will be an upset, and I like upsets. Now it's time forfeit, and they will start a new game. Or maybe he didn't notice his time ran out. 5+2 seems like forever. You can think for a lot, but you can still get flagged. Like in this position, you get flagged because you're mated. Okay, the rematch. So black will try to win in this game. This position is good for black to win because I don't think white has any unbeatable advantage. At least by playing normally, like playing some knight openings, maybe white can develop pieces like just b3 or f3 or c3, like those moves. Yeah. But knight e3 still. f5 good move. It defends against both of these threats, and the knight, wherever knight moves, the bishop can take it. So Yeah, but I don't think this position is really that good for black because the f5 pawn. What's that? Now white is threatening to win the queen, so just b6. The bishops don't make good. The bishops are not good attackers. You just randomly block with the pawns, and the bishops are blocked. At least in the opening. If your bishops are near your opponent's king, then the bishops are very strong. Two bishops can at least force a draw, almost equal to a rook. And in most cases, two bishops near your opponent's king, that's just a force mate. So this position is interesting. Queen to e4 is a threat, so you have to play something like d3. Or c3. Queen to d5 is also a threat here. D3, so queen to d5 is no longer threatening mate, so white can defend. So it solves two problems, but black can probably go for queen takes g2. That's kind of dangerous because it's kind of dangerous. In atomic, queens are pretty strong. If you have a queen invasion, then your opponent can just resign like a grandmaster. But black still went for the queen trade because the white queen is currently pretty bad. So white develops a queen. Black nicely covered the e6 probably invasion and some other invasions, and currently there are no invasions. If you have a queen, I suggest just open up the position. Just even if you lose material, just open up the position at whatever cost. Just push your queen near the opponent king. Here, well, you can play something like c4 or something like whatever. C3. Just move your bishop out, or a4. Move your bishop out. Well, it's already down to 1 minute. That's not good. c4. Black moves the knight. e3. What else? e3 is not a must because you can deal with the knight threat by b takes c5. White tries to open up the position. Black tries to open up the position. Castles. Think G takes F is good enough because you can't even play rook to G1, but you can play rook to F1. If rook to F1, knight to F4, then white will get into trouble. Here, not sure. Bishop check, I suppose. Because queen to A4 is still not a threat. And even if queen to A4 threatens mate, you can still block with the rook. Well, when you take with when you trade the pawns somehow. Because for queen to A4 to be a threat, the B and the C pawns are not there anymore. I will play rook to G2 because a pawn is a pawn. Just win a pawn. Knight to F4. You can get into trouble. Queen A6. If you play Queen A6, do you have mate? Knight takes E3. I don't think there is a mate because I don't think there is a mate. If queen to H6, rook blocks. Rook blocks. Or knight blocks, but yeah, so you should rook blocks, don't knight blocks. Yeah, that's a blunder, I think. So if you block with the rook, then you can block with the rook again, and then you can block. Oh no. Yeah, you can't block again. Yeah, you can't block again, so it lost anyway. Well, it has a mate, so white has a mate. I'm not seeing it. So Forrest is now leading 4-2. It's going to be a great upset. Let's see. So now Puddingbirne has to win 2 games in a row. And Forrest just need a draw. Atomic 960 games are interesting. You can just move the pieces randomly and just overlook mates everywhere. Here you don't have some move other than d6, so you have to play d6. So this position is probably pretty good for white because you don't have alternative defense. You can't defense. You can't make some alternative defense. Here, f5 maybe. f5. The idea of f5 is, of course, it defends against both f5 and d5. As you can see, you probably can't see my cursor. So, and on chessvariance.training, this website, you can't use arrows. So, just bear with me. That's hardly a good move. You just invade with the knight to f5 or something like that, because no, yeah, you can get mated. Yeah. That's actually probably a good move. Well, yeah, that's probably a good move because of the threat of knight to e4. Here, well, the threat is again knight to d5 and knight to h5. D5 is of course more important, so black defends against d5. If you go knight to h5, then black can push the g pawn to avoid getting forked, at least for now. And the e6 square is importantly covered by both the knight and the bishop. And black is actually threatening bishop takes pawn on a2 because the knight is still defending the e6 square. But knight e6 is always a threat, and you have to see it at some point. c5, maybe. Or g6. I could play both. There seems both good. c6. No threats yet. Knight to h5. What else? Or queen to e4, but queen to e4 is still not a threat because it's not a threat. g5, what else? Or g6 if you like. Knight can invade, but what's the point? Knight to g7 to e8 to c7? But by the time white gets to there, black can move the pieces out, so not sure about it. What is that? Well, it threatens mate, so probably okay. It of course threatens mate by bishop to d4, and after something like d4, yeah, what's the problem? If you Bishop is never a good attacker in the opening because the pawns didn't get traded yet. And now white has threat. White can check with queen to f5. This position, well, what do you play? g6? Black is running out of time and has to defend. With that, knight takes pawn, just yeah. White wins because black has no compensation. So I must overlook something. After g6, well, maybe if you go g6, then what's the problem? The queen has no effective positions, and the bishop's knights don't think so. So after e6, black is trying to open up the position for some tricky things. But just e3 defends against all things, and there are no mates. Black is also going to flag, so any move is for white. Just queen to, well, don't lose your queen. Queen there, and you don't have another check. This doesn't threaten, yeah. So you can check because this doesn't threaten mate. Yeah, it's lost. So the score is now 4-3. Forrest still leads, and this position, Forrest, can he force a draw? Otherwise, we'll have to see something like tiebreaker. Then this video will be very long. I don't think any people will watch this long video anymore. But, well, they will probably just watch the first part where I vaguely just explain what things are going on, and oh well, that book isn't going to finish because at least not soon, because Weekend Wanderers quit Atomic, and the other three of us aren't seem to finish the book. So D3. What else? You can also try for some mates, but D3 is the most obvious move. Otherwise, you yourself get mated. D3. Because if you go bishop to A4, they go just, well, B5, and you have nothing. Just D3, yes. F6, threatening taking the queen. B3. I believe knight to F5, suppose, because it's most natural, and knight to B5 doesn't do anything, or just develop, just C6. Yeah, or that. So G3, or if you want to do something fancy, you can get mated. So don't do things fancy, or you might get mated. My secrets are now not so secret anymore. Yeah. So the normal two knights, but white gets another move, so the two knights doesn't invade. Develop, maybe E4, or trying to do something fancy, like somehow center your queen onto the A6 square. But A6 is always playable. So just E4. Don't lose material. Pretty difficult position. Knight C4 doesn't come with threat. So white can probably well, you sacrifice a pawn for what? For some activity of what? Does that do anything? Doesn't feel like it. Black just randomly develops. Queen e5 is not a threat because of bishop to d4. It covers both e3 and e5. Takes. Just takes. Otherwise you get mating. Or just lose material. Or lose more material. Or you can resign like a grandmaster. But I suggest against that. This position is still much alive. You can take the knight. And what's the problem? White is running out of time. Am I lagging again? Maybe. Let's refresh. Yeah, so white flags for no reason in a pretty normal position. Now things are going crazy and they are going to play tiebreakers. I forgot the tiebreaker rules, so let's see what's the rules. Obviously, knight just beat the chess player 21, 5-0. That's more interesting. Well, that's not more interesting. This is more interesting. Rules are, if it's a tie after 8 games, there will be a tiebreaker consisting of 2 games 5 plus 2. After those, another 2 games of 5 plus 2. 1, 2 more, and then there will be 1 plus 0. So still. So they, let's just finish it here to avoid this video being too long. It's an interesting match, and I will be covering other matches later, probably, hopefully. And if you don't like my commentary, you can just find out information about this tournament on Lichess, or you just can search on Lichess, like search teams and search something like Atomic 960, or just see my profile. I think there is an Atomic 960, and you can see the results and all the games, and you can click the links to find out. So like so Olivia, well, I won't blame her because, well, it's just a normal post, and my secret is not that secret and not that bad, I think. So still, let's resign like a grandmaster. Yeah, they are IGH and have fun reading this are talking about this, and well, literally never heard of Olivia RK99 because, well, she didn't wrote it, I wrote it, and doesn't play a lot, but surprisingly very knowledgeable. The past glories because, well, I just use the Raven's knowledge and just randomly smash up all those names and just did it like that. So okay, that's my explanation and this video about the Atomic 960 match, and hopefully you like it. And in this kind of situation, hope everybody is doing fine. And if you are in your school term, just do well. And if you are watching it, don't just randomly post things in our forum. It's no longer safe, and if you want to delete it, you can delete it. If you don't want to, you just can leave it there. So goodbye everyone. Yeah, I think this video is too long already. So still goodbye.